Welcome to the new Cyber Frontier, bringing you the latest news, trends, and hottest topics that focus on advances in cybersecurity and cyber industry economics. Our expert yet down-to-earth hosts make cybersecurity straightforward. They ask the tough questions and make this challenging topic something that everyone can understand. Our candid approach lets guests open up on topics we would all like to see addressed. You can find us on the web at newcyberfrontier.com. That's www.newcyberfrontier.com. Now join today's host as he introduces the topic for today's new Cyber Frontier.
Welcome to today's episode of New Cyber Frontier. On today with me, Deidre Diamond, the founder and CEO of CyberSN, and just a dynamic personality. Just talking to her for like 20 minutes. We don't know where the time went. Deidre, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's good to be with you.
Definitely. Thanks for joining today. And you are on what I would call the more human aspect of cybersecurity. You know, where are the jobs and the money people was something I jotted down, which would probably be the title that we run this under. But you're one of those people. And surprisingly, within 20 minutes of talking to you, I know you're effective at it. And you wouldn't even have had to point me to a resume or a list on LinkedIn of all you've achieved, just that 20 minutes, and I know. But thanks for joining today. Tell us about yourself. Let's hear it from you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a very lucky person in that out of college as a criminal justice sociology major where I thought I was going to be a criminal attorney, I ended up meeting two serial entrepreneurs that brought me into technical staffing, actually. And so right out of college for 13 years, I was a part of an explosive growth. And I experienced the IT software staffing business. And then I went, they owned Rapid7. I brought that model of staffing into software sales and was VP of sales at Rapid7 to 50 million before I founded my own firm. So I fell in love with the cybersecurity community, super passionate people, protectors, big thinkers. Oh my gosh, loved them. And so when it was time for me to found my own company, I really realized that all these friends that I had made in building Rapid7 were searching for opportunities that would fulfill them at a greater capacity and just struggling with the job search, like literally super struggling. It was obvious that people were even settling because, they have a good gig from the perspective of money or job, but they weren't inspired, right? They were lacking opportunity and growth, and they just couldn't find jobs. And I thought, what the heck, how's that going on? And I need to start something new. It was time to do my own organization. And so I decided to fund CyberSN. And today, almost 6 years later, we're the largest cybersecurity, solely focused cybersecurity talent firm. We are also the founders of the 35 job categories. When I started it was 29. It's now 35, over 111 titles that then translated into a platform that I launched at Black Hat this last August, which is an international job platform where cybersecurity professionals can have a profile like LinkedIn, but you're anonymous and you use our technology, common language, tasks and projects to create your profile, same things with the jobs. And so we're just crushing solving the searching and matching problem in job searching for cyber professionals specifically.
That's really interesting because I know myself being in the cyber profession, it's not, we all make good, decent, whatever you want to call it, money. And 90% of everybody I know, it's not about the money. It's about, I want to do something that's making an impact. And we were just talking that I've been doing a startup for 3 years. And if I wanted to go make some money, I could. I wish sometimes I did when I'm, eating the peanut butter and jelly, but it's all about how can we be fulfilled. So when I look at, you're doing that for the job seeker, I'm going to turn it around before we talk about the job seeker and ask, how can companies make that environment for the employee?
Yeah. So the first thing I always tell people when they say to me, well, so who's your client, the job seeker or the employer? And of course the employer pays us. And I say, they're both my client, because a job seeker is always your client. We're all job seekers. At baseline, there's no way you've never not searched for a job. And so we all want the same experience. And what companies need to understand specifically with cybersecurity is that their generalist recruiters cannot find cybersecurity professionals. They're not all on LinkedIn. And 80% of what we do is technical cybersecurity folks. I'm talking real technical. I grew up in the vulnerability days, management days coming to life in 2007 on, so my touch has been very much the technical folks, and we still see the majority of the jobs there. Yeah.
Hold on a minute. I don't want to stop you, but we got to hear from our sponsors. We'll be right back in a minute, and we'll keep going on that one.
Cyber Resilience Institute helps build strong cyber communities designed to prevent members from attack. Like building a neighborhood watch, it takes coordination and a sharing community to protect our identities and valuables in the virtual world. Typically, we hear that organizations know they need to do something to protect their cyber assets, but don't know where to begin. Let Cyber Resilience Institute help your community create an action plan. Cyber Resilience Institute will build your community or business marketplace so that it is designed to support a collective cyber defense. Contact them for more information at cyberresilienceinstitute.org.
All right, welcome back to New Cyber Frontier. On today with Deidre Diamond. And before the break, you were talking about, your passion with cybersecurity and getting people jobs.
Yeah.
And then we turned it around and said, if people in this industry are always looking to be fulfilled, how can companies change the game to say we are giving the people a fulfilling job?
Yeah. So you got to make sure that you're working with the right job description, and a generalist recruiter is not going to be able to create that. It is 80% of the time we're creating the job descriptions with our clients, even the CISAs themselves, right? Meaning there's so much to think about. It isn't just a security engineer. There's 7 different types of security engineers. And so the first thing we need to do is craft job descriptions that make sense, that will attract people, because people want to look at the job description before they'll ever talk to anybody. So what are you putting in front of people? What does it look like? Is it 3 jobs in one, like most of them are? Is it super unrealistic or vague? Nobody's going to take the time for that. Mm-hmm. So that's number one. And my platform has the free technology to do that. Build your jobs for free all day long. The next thing is that while professionals are not looking for money, when it comes to the offer stage, they're not going to just take a lateral or take an average offer. You're still taking risk. Mm-hmm. So they didn't start looking because of money, but at the offer point, money needs to be whatever money needs to be. There is no, it isn't like it's set in stone. It's all over the place. Meaning if you want that person, whatever they tell you is what you need to pay. People aren't being irrealistic, but I am seeing that companies are under budgeting. Cyber professionals on the East are making 20% more than IT and software professionals, and on the West, it's 35%. So you can't be measuring income against what you consider your other technical resources. It's just not the way it works. And people want, raises to make a move. That doesn't mean that's why they went looking.
Yeah. So tell me, when they're budgeting, you said they need to budget more. Yes. Give some guidance on how they would do that. Because I think a lot of times it's just, we need to hire somebody new, and we don't realize, how short supply or whatever that resource might be. So that job description sits there with an open rec for how long?
Yeah, it's true. There's nothing out in the industry that says, here's real-time salary data, right? Like Glassdoor or any of the LinkedIn resources, that's old data. I can tell you with the volume of work we do, it changes constantly, meaning every month. So I am working on a real-time salary solution free for everybody. In the meantime, I tell people, call us. Like, we've got the data. We can even share our screen and show you, what comes up. We work with salary ranges. Just the Equal Pay Act is something that we all have to pay attention to. But we ask our professionals when they make their profiles to choose their salary range that they're in, and it's always accurate. People aren't trying to There's always a bad actor every once in a while, but who cares about 5% bad actors if 95% are following? So our data is super accurate. But you really have to go talk to specialists. You can't just go hire cyber professionals. Or I shouldn't say you can't. It'll take you 8 months. You're going to learn all the things we already know, and you're going to learn them by taking time, making offers that don't get accepted, not even getting people in process for long periods of time because of the job description, so it is great to start that way. And then the rest is, what's the story? I tell our clients all the time, we start with a retention story before we start with a hiring story, because I'm selling the retention story. That's how I'm going to get them to leave where they're at. So what do you got? What's your retention story?
So explain that. Explain what that means.
That means, okay, so this is what they're going to be doing from day one, probably their first year. What happens in the second year? What happens in the third year? Where's the growth and opportunity for this person? What does that look like? And what dollars are you putting towards growth and opportunity? Training dollars, going to events, things like that. Like, we need a story around that. Nobody's going to leave for something that doesn't have that. What the heck would they be to leave? That's what they're leaving for. So literally, that's 89% of the market. Number one thing is opportunity. And opportunity falls into training, meaning like they're sort of combined, growth and training, and so that's what it looks like. What's the story we're going to tell them? What's the strategy of the department? Where's the department going?
So is it possible? Because most people think of opportunity, they think of changing jobs. Is it possible for a company to set up opportunity internally where people feel as empowered as if they're changing jobs but staying in the same place? And how would you recommend that people set that up?
Absolutely. It's succession planning. It's not something we see in cyber, because as well as I know, the budgets of cyber are super small compared to IT, software. We're fighting for headcount, and so you don't see the juniors getting hired, which is what succession planning is. People can't move on to other opportunities within the organization if there isn't somebody to replace them. So you can talk about opportunity all day long, but what ends up happening is the professional realizes it's not going to happen. They're talking about it, but how's it going to happen? Who's going to take my work? Who's going to replace what I'm doing? So succession planning is the answer. I've been out talking, I've keynoted, I've done everything on this topic. So finally, I'm at a place where I can offer a cost-effective solution. I'm actually launching it in 2 weeks, where I've been able to find a few organizations that are doing hands-on cyber training, so vulnerability analysts or, just analyst work in general, but also GRC. And, from, not-for-profit trainings that are, working on diversity or just opportunity, folks that don't have opportunity, and can provide them at $45 an hour and keep them in training. And so what I realized is, it's like, if they're not going to stay in training, somebody's got to own that. These companies aren't even, there by any means. And if I can own that, I can help. And, I also founded securediversity.org 4 years ago. So I've got the entry-level community that comes to me like crazy. And so, solving that gap of how do you absorb those entry-level people when organizations, A, don't have the headcount, and B, don't have the training, money. So we all have to do that in the not-for-profit, the grants, and then, provide it at a reasonable cost for them to say, okay, we can't ignore this anymore. We're just going to lose our talent if we don't. And that's how I'm packaging it and selling it. It's like, do you want to keep hiring every 18 months, or do you want to retain your talent? I know you want to retain it. So here's how you do it. You got to have succession plan. You got to have juniors.
So when we're talking succession planning, are you looking at, hey, companies should be training their cybersecurity people not just on how to, move up in cybersecurity, but how to move up in the business, the bigger picture?
Sure, for sure. I personally do emotional intelligence communications training for cyber professionals, and yes, and everybody needs this training. It should be for everybody, but it's super important. We're communicating. You are all communicating with the entire business, and handling breaches is sophisticated stuff and stressful environments. They're like emergency workers, So where's the care?
So often I've seen that, if you're a cybersecurity person, you're never going to get moved up, like you said, because there's no one to replace you. It's such a small knowledge set that they're like, you work here and you're in the organization. You can't see you're moving up. There's no one moving into your position. And the only way out is get out.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, cybersecurity people are so intelligent. It's and not to say that technical folks aren't, they are, but my experience, I have people that started or working in cyber for 10, 15 years who are now doing other things, running business units, and still, work around cyber every day. Of course we have, and they're brilliant. I believe humans can do whatever job they want to do, and specifically cyber people. Yeah, I think we're pigeonholed a lot right now as tech. And so therefore maybe don't get seen, but tech people are pigeonholed in the same way, like true tech, we're just in society in general, the training of communication and management isn't existing in tech or cybersecurity. It's like you get promoted because you've done a good job.
Yeah.
And there's no executive training or management training dollars so it's the whole, as a society, we're just erroring.
Let's hold that thought, and we're going to come back after we hear from our sponsors. We'll be right back. Welcome back to New Cyber Frontier. On today, talking to Deidre Diamond, the CEO and founder of CyberSN. Deidre, we were talking before the break about the companies and helping the companies to design how to keep people. Now let's talk about speaking to the workforce themselves. It's a hot market right now. Do you think that it's a bubble, that maybe sometime, we see a lot of wage increases right now and everything, but sometimes we get enough people in the cybersecurity industry and the bubble pops? What do you think?
I don't think so. I think that we're so behind. I mean, we're truly behind. I mean, it takes years to create an effective cybersecurity professional. Like years, like after college, years. And depending on what path in cybersecurity, it could be another 3 years, to be that expert that can handle the work. So I don't think there's a bubble. I think that, you're going to see IT and cyber merge more, right? Like, okay, why is there such separation? That cost of separation is expensive. If my chief security officer is also capable of running IT, and he does. So why do I need an IT manager or an IT, executive? I don't. But it's very hard for an IT person who hasn't touched security to oversee security. In fact, it's impossible to really do it correctly. So, I think we're going to see them bleed together more. So we're going to see more IT professionals train in security, and so we'll be able to get that gap closed faster. And that's happening, mostly through regulation. I mean, I started in 2007, and it wasn't until PCI started finding in 2009 that anybody cared about vulnerability management other than the big financial institutes, right? And it wasn't until HIPAA, started finding, right? So nobody cared until then, honestly. And so it still continues with GDPR and privacy and, right, these other things. And so, and we know we're going to see more of of that regulation. So no, we've got a problem on our hands, and we're short, and we're short diversity. We still sell girls at school not to be in science or tech, or like that's just starting to improve, but super not. I wish, but no, there's no bubble here.
No, okay. Well, good to hear. So now you work with a lot of people, and you said you started out talking about people looking for jobs, people on LinkedIn having a hard time with searches. Why the disconnection? Why the discontinuity if there's so many jobs out there and so short?
Well, speaking cybersecurity is very difficult. I struggled. I had to build this platform that I was telling you about. We used it internally for 3.5 years. I had to build it in order to have a cost-effective sale, because a security engineer could literally be 10 different profiles. And that's before you add sort of how many years of experience. I mean, just in what tasks and projects they would be working on. It could be 10 different scenarios. And so whereas traditionally, at least in technical recruiting, let's say a network engineer, versus a security network engineer, you've got 1 or 2 profiles. And so a recruiter could kind of get it down. So we've got the common language. It's just not a common language to recruiters. And so you've got that problem. And then you've got the problem of cybersecurity professionals are employed. The game of getting people on the phone, oh my gosh. And, for, 20 years, I was able to, have inside sales environments get 20 people on the phone a day. Nowadays, if you're a rock solid sales leader, you're going to hope for 4. So can't talk to people like you used to talk to people. So if your job description is lame, you're not talking to anybody, if you can't figure out how to get people to get to talk to you, then, and which is hard. It's hard for sales people out in the world now. It's why we all have so many emails, content marketing,
But that's the salespeople trying to find cybersecurity professionals. What
Same.
about the other way around? The cybersecurity professionals that say, I can't find anything, or I'm having a hard time getting connected. Why?
Well, the job descriptions don't make sense. So if they're really serious, and they'll still apply, like if they really hate where they're working, and they're going to reply. Or if they know they need their job's ending, it's a contract, they're going to apply. And so they spend what we say 10 interviews to maybe find one that's a possible fit. So they're literally talking to people about jobs, because recruiters want to talk to people, internal recruiters, actually, they want to talk to, folks, but the match, because of the common language, is so bad, it's not the right fit. So literally, you're talking maybe 1 out of 10 that's enough to go, to keep interviewing. That's how bad it is.
I've seen that too, where there's the same job description that somebody's copied and pasted, and it's floating around for 10 different companies. And it's just everything you could possibly think of in cybersecurity with the most highest credentials and 30 years of experience.
Exactly. It's ridiculous, which is why our platform, you create the job using our taxonomy of common language of tasks and projects associated with functional roles. And, that kind of data makes sense, to us all. We can look at a job and be like, oh, I'm qualified and I'm interested, or I'm qualified, but I'm not interested because I don't want to do 60%. GRC. I'll do 20, but I'm done with 60, or, whatever it is, the ability to look at a job advertisement and say, I'm qualified and interested or not, within one view, must be the way that we live in society now. Now, I've done it for cyber, and I'm going to continue to own it for cyber, and then take it out to everywhere else. But that has to happen. Like, what are we doing? The dating apps have done that. You don't upload your resume on your dating app. You answer very specific questions with a yes or a no. You're not typing in your own stuff anymore, and so I liken what I'm doing to the dating apps and what's happened. Those dating apps have created a lot of retention of relationships, people sticking together for long periods of time because they have choices that are good choices and not just like one thing. And I got to accept, like I met somebody at work or a bar. Great. There's my choice, random meeting. That's why divorce rates are pretty damn high prior to the dating apps, and they're getting so much better.
Are
Literally.
they? I have.
Oh
I
yeah.
not
Oh yeah.
not
Night
followed
and
it.
day. The rates of people staying together, meeting on the dating apps. They're
Yeah.
really meeting. They're selecting their criteria, and then they have volume. You have put those two things together. Greatness happens. It's the same thing with job searching. Like you want to see 5, 6 opportunities minimum that you want to see what's going on in the market. Why can't you? That's ridiculous. I mean, it's ridiculous that nobody can. Now we're going to make it happen in cyber that, such that all jobs are in one place, right taxonomy, common language, so that can happen, and then we'll prove it there and take it out. But how ridiculous! Like we're literally limiting opportunity for jobs based on a broken job searching system.
Yeah. So how often, if we think about now, I'm the job seeker, I'm looking for a job, should I expect to transfer to somewhere else in the country? Are a lot of more coming online? It's like at home, because after the COVID, we found it seems to be everybody can work at home now. Is there more direction to? It doesn't matter where you live. What are you seeing happening around this?
Absolutely. I've been writing a blog since COVID, by the way, every 2 weeks in the state of the cybersecurity market. You can find it at CyberSN.com. What's going on right now, and also, definitely remote's now 80% of the time possible, and not worried about after COVID whether they're remote or not. And the folks that are doing that are super smart, because more people want that than not. Mm-hmm. And of course, the roles that are, the most popular, most sought after: application security, security engineering of any kind, cloud security for sure, and product security. Product security, of course, is heating up big time based on regulations. And there's definitely a difference between the East and the West. I was sharing this with you, earlier. The Silicon Valley stock options for security engineers is significant. You're talking 7 digits should you have that skill set. And of course, leadership and what have you. We don't see that on the East Coast. There isn't a stock option real, play out here by any means on the East. But on the West, it's I tell people all the time, if you can make the move and go play that game for a little bit, why not? It's a totally different financial game. And I only say that as a human that's, wants to know all my options. And I think all humans should know all their options and make decisions good for their family and them, what makes them happy. So there is a difference between East and West income, without a doubt.
So do you work mostly with extremely seasoned professionals, mid-tier or younger people? What's your kind of level, or is it across the board?
Yeah. Experience. Organizations typically don't pay for, entry level or junior skill sets. They have, sort of ways to do that with schools or what have you. So 5 to 10 years experience is sort of our sweet spot, and then leadership, because we're working with leadership to find those people. So they are also our clients when they need to, search. We're right in the heart of anything security engineering, architecture, leadership, and then GRC.
All right. So give a shout out to how people get in touch with you, who would benefit from contacting you, and what types of people you're looking for right now, maybe even.
Absolutely. So cybersn.com, under search jobs, all of our jobs are posted in that format that I told you, and you can look on your mobile too. Super easy and beautiful. You can find lots of resources at cybersn.com. You can find the 35 job categories. You can find our No More platform, which is the international job platform and profile platform. Make your profile. This way employers can find you all over the world. Who knows what opportunity might come your way? Have a profile, keep it updated, and jobs will knock on your door. Never mind, you could apply to jobs if you'd like. And you can find me at also on cybersn.com. All my contact info is there. I have an events page there. I'm always speaking at events, and you can find me there.
All right. Anything else that would be beneficial that you need help with, or things that you want to bring to the industry or listeners' attention?
I would say that really it's CISOs out there listening, when you're taking jobs and organizations tell you get to hire people, if you don't have an agreement that you get to use an outside staffing agency, you're not going to be successful. And I've watched for years this happen. So now I'm telling everybody in advance, get it in your contracts, have the agreement, have the conversation, because you can't afford 8 months for your job to be open. And there's no way you're going to fill it in less without coming to a resource like us. And so really it needs to be a part of the conversation, because this is the number one reason why CISOs are leaving their jobs every 18 months. They're told they can come build a security practice. They get the open jobs, but they get no budget to use an outside agency. You can't fill it any other way. We're short 500,000 people. Everybody's working. You can't find them. You can't speak their language in recruiting. You're not going to fill them. I think it's a way to get CISOs, and they get the company gets their compliance work, and 18 months later we find another. So let's stop this and get it in your budgets.
Yeah, and don't burn yourself out because you're pulling the weight for all those people you can't hire.
Yeah, don't take a job that isn't going to give you the budget to staff your team, because it's not possible to do it without a resource outside.
All right. Well, thanks for joining today, Deidre. It's definitely been a pleasure.
Totally. Ditto. Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to New Cyber Frontier. Remember to follow or like our post and circulate each new show to your networks. We keep you informed, bring you the latest news, explore new trends, and find the hottest topics. With New Cyber Frontier, you don't have to be a computer or cybersecurity expert. Just get plugged in. We encourage you to get involved. Tell us what topics interest you and join our mailing lists. You can find us on the web at www.newcyberfrontier.com. That's newcyberfrontier.com. Check out our previous interviews and please let us know if there are any topics that you would like to hear discussed. See you next time on New Cyber Frontier.